You're listening to the Meet the Farmers podcast with me, your host, Ben Eagle. For previous episodes, visit thinkingcountry.com or find the podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud by searching for Meet the Farmers. Hello and welcome to episode 55 of Meet the Farmers. I'm in Denbighshire on stop 8 of my latest road trip. We've been to the Cotswolds, we've been to Worcestershire, we've been to Herefordshire, we're now up to North Wales, and I'm visiting Llyr Jones, who keeps 1,500 sheep, 30 cattle, and free-range hens producing eggs for Tesco. In addition, he's diversified in several other ways, which I think we'll go into during the podcast itself. He co-owns the only rapeseed oil company in Wales supplying Asda, Sainsbury's and Morrison's supermarkets. Thank you so much for having me today.
No problem. I'd just like to, on the Welsh rapeseed oil, I'm very proud to own officially the best rapeseed oil in Wales, and because it's the only one,
you can say that.
I can say that. So it's great. Yeah,
it's great. Can you start by telling me a bit about the farm and your various enterprises, because there's a lot going on here.
So the farm Derwydd itself, where we are today, is 300 acres. It's predominantly an upland farm. And then we have 1,000 acres in Llandegla, which is a mountain, heather, bracken. We do a lot of work for NRW, and National Resources Wales, to help with conservation with black grouse there. And then we have another farm that we rent in Flintshire, where Lowland, where we do most of our arable work and sheep, mules, and fatten the early lambs there. So, and that's predominantly the farm. We've got 30 cows, and then we've got 16,000 free-range hens that we supply on a COP contract with Tesco's for the eggs. We also the lambs are on a COP contract as well. COP is a cost of production contract. It's far easier as a farmer. I know what price that I'm going to receive. With the lambs, I know what price I'm going to get in April. So before the rams go in, for the early lambs, the ones that lamb in January, I know what I'm going to get for them in the end of April, beginning of May, because it's so you know how much you can afford to feed them and push them. And it's that's helped the farm, I'd say, because you know where you're standing, and it sometimes works against you and sometimes works with you, but it's predominantly it's been definitely helpful.
Did you always want to farm?
I always want to farm.
Or did you go through stages one of the other things?
No, I probably didn't want to farm, but I actually took over the farm quite young. I'm 19 years old.
Oh wow!
My father became ill with cancer, and we just bought the mountain in Llandegla, and I was just about to go to university, and decided to stay at home because basically my father wouldn't be able to afford the mortgage on the land, and things turned out, and I never got to go back to university. So I've been running it at quite a young age, really. I wouldn't say it's been a very difficult journey, but I would say I've been able to rule the roost a little bit younger. There's only two people I needed to convince if I needed to do a new project. That was myself and my bank manager. and it would have been great to have my father. I know my father would never have stopped me. I know he would never have stopped me because he was quite a diverse character. And I would say it's been an eventful journey. So getting there.
Let's get the Brexit question in early. If we get to the stage, we're just about moving into October. We've got a month until. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows?
Nobody knows yet. Nobody knows.
But if we get to the 31st of October and we're in a no-deal situation, what would be the impact? Do you reckon both from your perspective, from your own business perspective, but perhaps broader community locally and up here in North Wales?
I think it's absolutely terrible. That's my personal view. I voted to remain. I just feel there's a lot of lies being told on both sides. But we were the 6th largest economy in the world. For a small country, that's pretty impressive. And, I think we will be looking back at it and going, Christ, why did we do that? Because we were doing quite well with ourselves. It really, as a sheep farmer, I'm potentially going to lose 550 million customers. And people who turn around and say, yeah, but they'll want to buy our lamb. No, they don't want to buy a lamb. They will buy lamb from anywhere they can. The difference is people want to buy their cars. People want to buy the wine. And that's my, the people in the UK want to buy it. The people in Europe, they don't really want to buy a lamb, so they will protect the sheep farmers in Europe because they can, and they will. So my personal view is, I thought we were doing quite well. I was quite happy with it. Bureaucracy, no way was a farmer in Greek island with shepherd there doing half the paperwork that we have to do. The paperwork comes from London, and then it's topped in Cardiff. So people thinking the bureaucracy of Europe, it's a total lie. If you travelled a bit and you speak to the farmers in those countries, they don't do half the paperwork we have to do. So it's a complete lie. Farmers saying that the bureaucracy is European, because it's not.
Can you foresee that you would drop your sheep numbers?
Oh, for certain, yeah. I will do that. I really... I don't know. If something doesn't happen, I will drop my sheep. I'll probably stop renting the farm in Flynn. I will reduce my labour. And it's got to be a knock-on effect. I doing my VAT, I deal with 125 companies doing my VAT return. 75% of them was in Wales, and 62% of them was through my first language is Welsh, and it's through the medium Welsh. So it's going to absolutely devastate the local economy. It's going to devastate the Welsh culture. These people who I work with, they've got children going to schools. They've got they're going to the local pub, and I do feel we are looking at New Zealand in 1986 when they just dropped the subsidies. I don't want to feel like that, but that is what we are looking at. And New Zealand, if you speak to people, New Zealand is totally different. There's villages that are not even there anymore because they've just disappeared. And I do feel strongly that we've done a serious mistake.
Listeners, if you go back a few episodes, there's an episode with Silas Headley Lawrence down in Oxfordshire, who all his family are New Zealanders. We had quite a lengthy chat there about the impact of that. And of course, in New Zealand, agriculture was the major industry.
Yeah.
Here, we're probably in a worse position because it's not.
Yeah. And the thing is, that what gets me is the government. They want young farmers who think positively, who have invested in the future and get on with life. Unfortunately, those are the people they're going to lose, because unfortunately we're the ones who have borrowed heavily. We're the ones who, the bank, we owe bank a lot of money, and we're the ones who are going to go first. It's the farmers who have not expanded, probably got another job, probably even retired, and just doing what they're doing, and probably haven't got a mortgage, probably haven't got any borrowings, and just producing a small Welsh lamb that the market doesn't really want, but they don't care because they don't survive on it, and it's them who are going to carry on going. So I think the government have to have a real long stare and think. But unfortunately, I have no confidence in the British government. If you look at the subsidies, the EU subsidies out of the 27 states, UK is at the bottom, and we're only on that list because we have to be on that list because we're in the EU, because there's the basic payment, and we are literally just getting the basic payments. They're allowed to modulate, I think, up to 15%. They've modulated 15%, not in any other country. So we are at the bottom, and we're only in the bottom because the British government have put us there, and we're only on that list because we're in the EU. If we're not in the EU, they will they will take it away, I think. And yeah, John Redwood has said himself that they'll buy food from a cheaper country. We all know that one of the if you want a revolution, I think fuel and food is one of the main things. The government will never allow food prices to go up, and they will make sure they'll buy the cheapest thing they can get because they don't want a revolution, and that's how it is. And they will, unfortunately, the farmers are a second thought. And that's why being in the EU was, for me, we've been protected by the EU, and we're not gonna be there now. So that's my view.
Yeah. Tell me about the eggs. When you started with that, and why you started with that.
So I started with the eggs because I won a scholarship with Tesco Future Farmers, and I met a guy called Harry Irwin there who owns Anglia Free Range Eggs, and they were looking for farmers. I had looked into free range back in 2008, but decided not to. And I just felt I was in a far better position. I paid off a large mortgage, and I thought, this is time for the business to change gear. So I decided to go with that. It was on a COP, which is a cost of production contract, so it gives you a little bit of security. And I've gone into it. I enjoy it. We employ 1 full-time staff and 2 part-time. It's a learning curve. It's far more work than I thought it was going to be. But usual way. And it's attention to detail. We went for 16,000. We've got to go up to 32. But we probably won't go for 32 at the moment because the egg prices have fallen a little bit. But the infrastructure is there for 32. So my electric capacity's for 32,000. The generator's big enough. The packer's big enough. The fridge is big enough, the dirty water is big enough, the borehole is big enough, so everything's there big enough to go up to 32, so that is the plan. But probably won't be for, I'd say, another 5-6 years maybe, but these things will come and when it's ready.
Energy production, you have hydro, ground source and solar here.
Yes, and air source, yes, yeah. So people say, you're green, and I'm like, because you generate, maybe, but I don't like spending money on energy. So if I can save money, then
especially in Wales, you've got so much capacity here.
I'm terrible. Like I'll try and buy the cheapest thing, but spending 15,000 on an air source heat pump, no problem. I'll do that in a whim. Like, and if somebody, I've just put one in like maybe a month ago, and it's cost 15, but it's going to pay its back. It's going to pay back in 6 years, and the repayments on it, the feed-in tariff pays for that monthly payments. So it's basically, forget about the 15,000. What I've actually had is something for free. That's the way I look at it. That's going to save me money. So that's the way I look at it. And I've gone all in. We've got ground source heat pump in the chicken shed. We've got solar panels and the hydro. And we've grown. We've done the hydro. I did the hydro back in 2012, and that's. And I just noticed that that was one of the reasons I went into the hens, because I noticed that we were exporting far more electricity than we were producing. So then I looked at what can I do on this farm that can use that electricity. Yep. So, and free range was one of them. So then I went and so I don't have an electricity bill on my free range. And then after a few years of that, doing the free range, I noticed that most of my electricity that I was still exporting was in the night time. So then that's why I went into the ground source heat pump. So the ground source heat pump comes on at 11 o'clock at night, switches itself off at 7 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. So then I'm not exporting that. I'm using all the energy. So the ground source heat pump is generating more income for the farm. So it's just, if it generates income and it doesn't cost me anything, then crack on and do it. That's the way I look at it.
You're a host site for Fallen Stock.
Yes.
And that's an important aspect of income, but
Yep.
also it's fallen stock itself, which we don't really cover on the podcast very much. I probably should have talked about it more before now. But can you give listeners an idea of fallen stock? By the way, there's me falling into is dead animals really. For non-farmers out there, how did you get into being a host site here?
So back in 2006, the government brought in a rule. You weren't supposed to bury sheep, which was the normal practice, with water quality, which is fair enough. So I looked into an incinerator. It was quite expensive to run, so the way I looked at it was, well, if I get a few other neighbour farming to come in with me with it, so that's what we did. So we got 17 farmers in. I think I was charging £12 a ewe, but it was costing me in the region of £9 in fuel. But my competitor, the local knacker yard, he was charging £15 or £16. So the farmers were saving a couple of pounds. We were making a couple of pounds, but not really, nothing huge. But then the fuel prices crept up, and then it was nearly unprofitable. And if there's a problem, I'll try and solve it. So I found a company in Llyr, Derbyshire, that were generating electricity from animals. So then we looked into that. We did a few adaptations, bought a conveyor belt, try and make it easier. Now, because we're doing that, our prices have come down. So we're now charging only £10, but it's only costing us a couple of pounds to get rid of the sheep. So the profit is far more now. We're far cheaper than our competitor. So the number of farmers have increased. I think we've got like 100 farmers now. And the reason we're cheaper than our competitor is quite simple, because the farmer does all the work. So the farmer brings his fallen stock to a shed that's about half a mile away. He puts it into the conveyor belt, it goes into the skip, he does the paperwork, and then every Wednesday a lorry comes here, picks it up, takes it away. All I do is just bill the farmers, and that's all I do.
Amazing.
So it's gone from buying, I don't know how many thousands of litres of diesel that we were using, fossil fuel, to burn. Now the ewe generates electricity. So one ewe has enough energy to produce electricity for two normal sized houses for 2 days. Yeah, basically. So it's a phenomenal amount of electricity really in a ewe with the methane they produce. So I think we did 4,500 ewes last year, 200 cows, and I don't know how many thousands of hens. Yeah. It's become one of my income streams that I can rely on now.
Let's move on to rapeseed oil.
Yeah.
How did this come about?
So when I was in college, we went to Normandy. There was a little farmer there, had a little Renault two-wheel drive tractor, and he was running it on that. And I always, in my head, I always knew that was a good idea. I used to do a lot of store lambs back in 2004, 2005, 2006. Used to buy in maybe 6,000 lambs a year and fatten them, and so my fuel prices was quite high with the transport and haulage. So every time I was paying for my fuel, I was always thinking about this little two-wheel drive Renault tractor. My contractor came in with me, my cousin came in with me, and we started this biofuel, and we were producing 3 presses. We're producing 1.4 million litres a year, 3,000 tonne of high protein pellets, and everything was like, this time next year, Rodney, we're going to be millionaires.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the government decided to put tax on it, and once that tax came in, it was dead in the water. We still owed the bank some money, and it was like a little bit, but if I got a problem, I try and solve it. And I looked into food production, found out that we were the only ones in Wales that could do it. Went to Asda, they took it on straight away. Changed a few things when I did a few courses, a lot of help from the local authorities. So we're now producing 6,000 bottles a month, producing oil for Asda, Sainsbury's and Morrison's and local distributors. So it's...
And that's looking like a growth market.
It's growing every year. Yeah. I will not be satisfied until every kitchen in Wales has a bottle of oil. So, and I've got a long way to go, but yeah, it's getting there.
We all need to have aims.
Yeah. So I think that's a very high aim that I can probably aim for.
Yeah. I want to talk about Agri Academy.
Yeah.
Which is a Welsh government funded programme that in essence helps Welsh farmers improve their efficiencies. Tell me about the programme and your involvement in it.
So I attended this course in 2013. Really enjoyed it. Made friends for life there. Still friends with them now. Still talk now. They're forward-thinking, positive farmers. You know, they're the type of people you need around you to go ahead with things. And yeah, really enjoyed it. Helped the Welsh Government a little bit over the years, doing like a few talks for them. And then last year, the leader was had decided to do something else. So I put my name down to try and become to be a leader, and I was just very successful. So now this is my first year of taking the business innovation group. So that when I tried it in 2013, we did go through an interview, but I don't think, like, if you went to the interview, pretty much you'd got the job. Yeah. Now, I don't know what the numbers are, but I think it's like over 60 applicants, and then they have to whittle it down to 26 to interview, and then you have to whittle it down to 12. So it's far harder to get onto it now. The calibre of people are far higher on it.
So who's applying?
Well, this year we've got a vet, we've got a land agent. We've got 2 dairy farmers, we've got sheep farmers, we've got people working for Winstay, we've got share farmers. Yeah, I think I've covered them all there. Yeah, so they're all, even though they've got other work, they're all in some sort of agricultural basis, because they have a farm at home. And yeah, it's a really good group, very positive. You know, it's you have when you leave, you have a very good positive feeling. Yeah, that things are looking good. And that's the type of people you want in life, because you know, and they're doers as well, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, and I assume that rubs off on you and helps you as well.
Yes, yeah, definitely. So all I do in the Agri Academy now is I organise the trips. So I'm in the process of organising a trip. We're going in 2 weeks to Holland. So we're going to Llyr, robotic milking farms. We're going to a floating dairy farm. We're going to a chicken manufacturer. We are going to see 4 farmers, RD farm, research and development farm. And then the last day we're going to tulip. So I thought, well, we're in Holland, let's go to a tulip farm. And we're going to see an old one, and we're going to a modern one.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's it's quite a lot of work. A little bit more work than I thought it was going to be, but it's I enjoy it. And top it for me, it's like I'm getting to do the Agri Academy all over again, but I'm getting paid to do it this time. So it's like it's a win-win situation for me. So yeah.
Do you actually sleep?
I do, yeah. I don't know. I'm very good at delegating, I think.
Yeah. Have you always been good at that?
I've had to be. Yeah. I'm very trusting, I think. And yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty good at picking people who I feel are going to do the work. So I've got Lynn who works for the chicken shed. So she's my manager there. She looks after that. I've got Menna does my food fairs because she sells a lot of oil, and Tommy that works on the farm. So yeah, we got a pretty good team. Yeah, we do a lot. Yeah. Do a lot, yeah. So I'll be honest with you, my wife, this is a quote that you need to put down, definitely. Okay. So all the businesses we've spoken about, there's a link to every one of the businesses, that every single one of my businesses that I run can still run without me being there. So I'm here talking to you, but the hydro is still running and making money. I'm here talking to you, and the oil is still, for every hour, I think 6.4 bottles an hour or something like that goes every hour. I'm here now, the hens are still laying eggs. I'm here now, but a poor farmer's lost a sheep and going to take a sheep up to the incinerator. I'm here now, but I've got a holiday home down there, and we've got guests down there. I'm here now, but my wife has the equine thing, and she's working there, and she's paying rent on it. I've sheared sheep, I've driven lorries, and when you're shearing sheep, the only way you can make more money than the guy next to you is to work harder. So your body can't do that. So that's why most of my businesses, there's a lot of them, but they kind of run themselves. That's the link in the whole of them.
Yeah, a really early one of these I did was down with a guy called Tim May down in Hampshire, he said one of the, if I can give anyone a bit of advice, it would be to make sure that you can get your business to a stage where it's not reliant on you in any way at all, and you can step away and it will continue to be fine.
And I think, please don't think like, oh God, that sounds easy. It's not easy, because what I'm actually doing is firefighting. I'm going around firefighting. Yeah. Like, so Lynn will say, oh, there's a problem with egg belts, I have to go there. So a farmer will say, oh, I've run out of book in the fallen stock place, so I have to go up there and do the fallen stock. Or the Lynn does the paperwork with that. So, somebody hasn't paid, so you have to chase them, and you're just firefighting all the time. Or next thing you got Sainsbury's ringing up, going, "We need a pallet of oil down by tomorrow," and so it's like you're having to push it. So it's
but each enterprise is in a stage where it enables you to be across that wide, broad frame, and be able to do that.
Yeah. So that's the idea. It's not like, because I like going back to the sheep shearing thing. Like, if you stop sheep shearing, you stop earning money.
Yeah.
Where the enterprises that I try and do, they keep going. They don't make a lot, but all these little income streams will hopefully become a river, and that's what the idea.
So what is success for you? What are you trying to work towards? What?
Success for me is quite simple. When my overdraft is in a nice place where I'm not having to worry about money, where things are working nicely. But the problem with me is, once I get to that position, I then go and buy something else, or I go and do something else, and then that is a weakness of mine. And I'm constantly looking at other businesses. I tendered for hauling the eggs for Tesco's this summer, and I got down to the last two.
It's probably a good thing you didn't get it.
There's a hydro system that's having issues with, and the builder has, or the construction company has pulled away, so I'm talking to the farmers to see if I can carry on with that. So I'm always like, the only thing is, like, out of 50 things that I think of, probably only 5 of them actually end up in the negotiation in the end, and probably only 1 of them actually something happens.
That's all you need, though.
Yeah. So it's just plodding on. You don't want to stop, because once you stop, you're going backwards, because somebody else will, pass you. And but I do think, let it grow organically. Like, I think that's important. Like, none of my businesses have an overdraft except for the farm. So that there's only one overdraft that I have to concentrate on. Every company has a business as an account. So you can look. So you need that, because you need to see what's coming in and going out, and you can physically see that. Because you don't want to start subsidising businesses, because that's what I found. That's what I found I was doing. I was subsidising one business, and so if you have that separated, you can then see, right, this is not working. You need to work on this. Succeed. I think being successful it's hard to get to, because I don't know, you're always trying to better yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're always trying to.
In some ways, it's an impossible thing.
It's impossible to be there, because once you've got to a certain where you feel you're comfortable, you go and do something else.
Yeah. So I suppose you can only really look at what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And if it's going well at this moment, then that's success.
Yeah.
Because it's
one other thing, though, I do feel, unfortunately, being a farmer, the only thing that is successful is my non-agricultural.
I know where this is going.
My non-agricultural.
I've never heard that before.
So we've got a holiday home, and that's making quite a lot. Not quite a lot of money. It's making good money for the effort that we have to put into it. So next thing, well, crikey, we can buy another one. So we're putting all our eggs into that basket. Yeah, we're thinking of pushing that on because it's making money.
I think it's the thing I find amazing in farming as well, is that it feels like you almost have to apologise for that. Which is ridiculous. Because as if you see it just as a pure business, that's working, therefore good on you, success. Let's focus on this and build and build and build and build.
So I do feel maybe in the future I will probably do less sheep, less cattle, more oil, more everything else probably. More everything else. And it's just one of those things really.
Right, we're going to try the traditional 1 minute soapbox. So listeners, this gives guests 1 minute to talk about a subject of their choice. Could be farming, could be non-farming. We've got 1 minute on the clock. Claire, do you have an idea of what you want me to do? We've covered a lot of ground in that.
I've got something that's totally nothing to do with farming.
Brilliant. Like that. Okay, so 1 minute, you've got to introduce your subject and talk on it in 1 minute starting now.
I'm quickly going to talk about a charity that I started with a friend of mine, Camel Gam. We used to go to Africa building schools. Less schools, more like sheep sheds. I don't know how to build a school, but I do know how to build a sheep shed. So we've got, I think there's about 5 sheep sheds in Africa looking after children and giving water. And I think 400 children are having full-time education for what the charity has done. Over 1,000 people are getting fresh water, and it only cost us £38,000 to raise. Thoroughly enjoyed. You get to travel the world, you get to meet people, you get to do good stuff, and I see myself doing that in probably 4 or 5 years' time when the children are old enough. Bang on!
Very good. That's really good. Honestly, I'm so inspired by this visit. It's been brilliant to talk to you.
Nice.
I think we could go for a little bit of a wander around as well I'm here.
Yeah, fine, no problem.
Llyr Jones. Next time, approaching the end of my Welsh road trip, I'll be visiting one of Britain's better-known upland farmers, Gareth Wyn Jones, who's not afraid of speaking his mind. Big thanks to the Mercy Charitable Foundation for supporting this episode, to Tom Bland for all his help with production, and to you, of course, for listening. Please do subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, and share this with someone you know. If you're a farmer or know of a farmer who you think might be interested in getting involved with the podcast, please do get in touch with me. You can find my details at thinkingcountry.com. I'd love to come and visit your or their farm. But for now, have a great week or weekend, and I'll look forward to you joining me next time on Meet the Farmers.